On a cold but sunny day in January, a group of community volunteers from the Punxsutawney area came together with their camcorders and spent the day videotaping the people, places, and happenings of the Punxsutawney area. They came back with some great pictures and stories. This is Our Town, Punxsutawney. Funding for the production of Our Town, Punxsutawney has been provided by the Punxsutawney Area Chamber of Commerce, dedicated to advancing the general welfare and prosperity of the greater Punxsutawney area. The Punxsutawney Area Chamber of Commerce, an advocate for a vital community. By the Punxsutawney Regional Development Corporation, marketing the Punxsutawney Industrial Park and dedicated to community and economic development in the Punxsutawney area. And by the annual financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.
My name is Joan Bianco.
And I'm Keith Bianco.
And today we went to the Panel Hotel. It's an old Victorian hotel in Punxsutawney, built in 1888. It's now owned by the Barletta family. And a lot of weddings and parties are held there. We were just at a Christmas party and people were impressed with the old structure.
And it's part of the Punxsy's history. It's been there for, well, forever, since the town's been here. The Coach Room restaurant is downstairs, and the upstairs has the rooftop. It's called the Rooftop, which was added, I'm not sure when, but it's not part of the original structure. But it's really nice because it's all open. You can get a good view of the town from up there.
Patsy's Park, somewhere that we take our children to play, one of the few playgrounds in Punxsutawney where people donated money. There was a woman named Patsy Dunmeyer who died fairly young, and so they decided to build a playground on her behalf. But it's a nice place to go. It was a little cold today.
Yeah, not today. It was really cold today. What I heard from about the monkey steps was years and years ago, and I'm not sure how long ago, there was a woman who lived at the top, and she had a pet monkey. And apparently the monkey used to run up and down the steps, and that's kind of how it got its name. That's what I was told, from two sources. So I think it's true, maybe.
The Finley Street Cemetery has graves from the Revolutionary War, and it's over 200 years old. The Jinks family, which is one of the founding families of Punxsutawney, is buried there, and we just taped some of the markers.
And after we did the monkey steps, we went up around to a street that comes to the back of the Finley Street Cemetery. And it's kind of neat because it's a dead end, and there's a sign there that says dead end, and right behind the dead end sign there are tombstones. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I went up to the high school. There's over 175 kids in the ski club at the high school, and they were all boarding the buses. It's something they do regularly. I think 8 weeks they're going, and it's something they're all very interested in. And I went on the bus a little bit, was kicked off by my daughter, but just got the kids ready to leave for Holiday Valley. Jody Mills owns Jody's Cutting Cottage. I met Jody a couple years ago, and she moved up here from Florida of all places, and she loves Punxsutawney. She's like the greatest cheerleader. She's a very, very upbeat person, but her and her husband both quit their jobs to move up here.
And when we got up here, my husband got a job in Sykesville, and I opened the shop here, and we really, really like it. We now have a baby. We said Punxsutawney's a nice place to raise a family for children.
There's an active deep mine near Oneida, and I thought it was important to go film the active deep mine because I know a lot of the history of this town is in the coal industry. Although the coal industry isn't what it used to be, it's still an important part of our economy. And this mine's been running for 3 years. They have 20 guys running 2 shifts. When I was a teenager, all I ever said was, "Oh, I can't wait to get out of school and move away from here. All I want to do is leave." But now that I have a family, this is just, I think, the best place to raise kids.
My name's Larry McGuire with WPXZ Radio in Punxsutawney, and I'm the news director there and program director. And our trip around town today, we started off at Mahoning Hardware. And at Mahoning Hardware, it's a historic hardware store. It's been around since I think about 1920, or maybe even older than that. And it's your old-time, old-fashioned hardware store. I mean, if you need one nut or one bolt, you can buy it there. If you need casters for a chair that was made in 1933, you can get that there. It has all of that. And the Murray family has owned it since the late 50s, I do believe, and they have kept up the same type of image of your friendly little hardware store. This is Greta Murray, and she is part owner of Mahoning Hardware, along with her husband, Bud Murray.
When you're looking for something that you think nobody has, come to Mahoning Hardware. We usually have what people need. And some things we have what they don't need, but they still like to look.
Then we went on to Stello Foods over on Pine Street in Punxsutawney, in what once was a Punxsutawney hardware store warehouse, plus it's been many other things. They started off in one bay of that building, and they have a college project is what it was, Stello Foods, a family recipe of was called Rosie's Ringers, kind of almost on a dare. Somebody said to the son, Nicky Stello, why don't you, make that your college project and see what you can do with it? So we did, and it's grown from a college project. They took up the second bay of the building. Now they have the entire building, and they also manufacture and process foods for other companies, for big companies. So they make their own line of Rosie's Ringers, and also hot and sweet pepper mustard and all that sort of thing. And yeah, it's really your rags to riches type, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, all-American story. Okay, WPXZ Radio, and WPXZ has been around since 1952 as WPME, and it was changed call letters in 1980, I believe, when Rinda Radio bought it, and we have actually 3 stations there now. WPXZ is the station that serves Punxsutawney, primarily WPXZ FM 104.1, and carries a lot of local interest, news, and that is we will see on our tour of the station. We also have the Groundhog AM 1540, which is a big band-oriented station, and a new station that we just put on the air, Cool 103.3. Now, I'm not a Punxsutawney native. I grew up in Cleveland, actually, in a big city, and had a stop in Ashtabula, Ohio before I moved here, and knew somebody that was managing the radio station, Al Anthony, as a matter of fact, and so came here. I was looking for work, and I'd worked with him at an Erie radio station, and ended up moving here and staying here and liking living in a small town and raising my family here.
Hi, I'm Patty Doherty. I'm on staff here at the Punxsutawney Community Center. We feel the Community Center is a vital part of the community. This morning we started out in the auditorium. The auditorium has a seating capacity of 1,008 people. We show movies on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings. We have a manager at the theater, and we have 3 paid projectionists. We have a volunteer staff that comes in and helps sell the tickets, run the concession stand, and whatever else we need done on a nightly basis. We have a computer lab with 5 computers. We've just received a grant. We have ongoing computer classes. Our gymnasium is full 90% of the time. We have little dribblers, we have youth basketball, we have volleyball for children, we have volleyball for adults. We have exercise classes ongoing. We have a gymnastics school. It meets weekly for children ages 4 on up. We have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We have a fitness center with volunteer trainers. It's open to the general public at the present time. I think we have about 150 members. We also have a cafeteria with a fully staffed kitchen. We have spaghetti dinners, ham dinners, any kind of dinner you'd like to have. We also have wedding receptions in there. We have dances. We've had several elementary dances. We have an ongoing under 21 dance. We have a walk track, and a lot of people come in every day and just walk through the building, especially in the winter when the weather's bad. Or if someone's recovering from heart surgery, they can walk in the gym without worrying about falling and getting hurt. Carlito's is almost right across the street from where I live. It was founded in 1914 approximately. It started out as a grocery store. And in 1926 they opened the sandwich shop. There were 4 children, Phil, George, Josephine, and Sarah Carlino. Phil was the oldest, so he started the business. When they initially started, they did not have hamburger buns because hamburger buns weren't invented till the 1930s. So they used the long buns, and all they served were hot dogs and ham sandwiches. 74 years later, they still don't use hamburger buns. Everything is served on a hot dog bun. Everything has a special sauce. It's a secret ingredient, and no one knows what it is. It doesn't matter when you go in there. There's always somebody in there. All the Phil, George, Sarah, and Josephine have all passed away. Nick Riesuk is the present proprietor. He started at Carlino's in 1959. He started as a delivery boy, worked into cutting the meat, and then from there he went over to the sandwich stop. And as long as Nick wants to be there, Carlino's will be here. I was born and raised here. It's a wonderful place to raise your family. It's just a really nice community.
I'm Ben Hughes. I'm the Director of Planning, Marketing, and Development at Punxsutawney Area Hospital. I've been in Punxsutawney for about 10 years and moved here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I'm a newcomer as small towns go. I took the opportunity this morning at 8:30 to videotape the Punxsutawney Roadrunners Club.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Sandy, and I'm a representative of the Punxsutawney Area Roadrunners Club. Regardless of weather or temperature, we get together every Saturday morning for a group run. That's just a chance for us to all get together and have a great time. Come on, you guys, let's go for a run. Woo, let's go!
I then went to the hospital and introduced, for this film, Punxsutawney's newest resident through the maternity department at the hospital.
This is Luke William Ray. He's our latest addition at the Punxsutawney Area Hospital. My name is Paula Silvis, and I work in the nursery here with Luke. He was born on January 20th, the year 2000, at a late 11 p.m.
Punxsutawney Area Hospital was identified as one of the top 100 hospitals in the nation for the 2nd year in a row. In addition to that, we have the #1 nurses in the United States, and we've been identified as the #1 hospital for patient satisfaction in Pennsylvania. When I was finished at the hospital, I decided to interview the oldest resident in Punxsutawney. His name is Matthew Tibby. Mr. Tibby is 104 years old and is a World War I veteran. He's an extremely interesting person and inspiration to us all. He walks every day from his apartment to have lunch, and so we had lunch with him.
What's the secret to living to be over 100?
Stay away from the hospital and the doctor.
He has super pie every day, every day. It's a panel super pie. Okay. You can go.
You can say Punxsutawney is highly blessed with the hospital that they have and the management.
Thank you.
One of the things that I like about living in Punxsutawney is it has a nice sense of community. When I lived in the city, I never thought about that, what a sense of community is, because I never had it. Coming here, I think you have the opportunity to establish long-lasting friendships. I think the people here are genuine. I think the simple life is not something that is a con, but it's a pro. And the simplicity of people here is something that attracted me here originally, and it's something that I have grown to cherish. I think anyone watching this video or this film should see that and sense it as something that they wish they had, because I have not found it in other communities.
I'm Katie Laska. I live in Punxsy, and I own Laska's Pizza with my husband Rick, and I chose to do Saints Cosmas and Damien grade school. My daughter's in 2nd grade there, and we did her 2nd grade class. Her teacher's Mrs. Murdoch, and they read a short story, and we're very lucky to have a private school in our town. Very happy for that.
How many of you are using the bird feeders we made?
My daddy
no birds eating them. No birds are eating them?
I gave my
Mine is empty. I don't know where ours are.
I've lived in Punxsutawney all my life, and I like living here because of the people. It's a family atmosphere. We know everyone, and everyone's there to help whenever you're in their need of anything.
Hi, I'm Marlene Lelock. I'm the Executive Director of the Punxsutawney Area Chamber of Commerce. And this morning I brought my husband Jeff with me, and we went out to videotape some of the things that we think are definitely special about Punxsutawney. We started in downtown Punxsutawney, and we shot some of the businesses that have been around for a number of years, and some of the businesses that have been around just recently have just come about. We shot a sign of Paul Beatty Jewelers. That really typifies a downtown in a small area because he's been around for I don't know how many years, but quite a few years. Still has his own charge accounts for people. You know, they'll issue credit to anybody and you pay $10 a month, and he's just a good old-fashioned jeweler. We went down the street and shot some of the other businesses in town, one being Miller Brothers Furniture, which is a new business, but they are in a historic building, and they fixed it up and made it look really nice. We shot the Hunger's Office Supply Building, which was established in 1946. And we also got a shot of the Panel Hotel, which is an historic hotel right in the middle of downtown. From there, we went to the Punxsy Plaza, which is one of two plazas that we have in our town. We're very lucky because we do have a downtown area with shopping, but we also, on either side of the downtown, have two strip plazas. We then went up to Thermal Guard, which is a window and door manufacturing company. They were established many, many years ago as Seasonal, and I believe it was in 1972 that they re-established themselves as Thermal Guard, a maker of insulated windows and doors, and they market their product nationally. We went to Scotty's Donuts, which is, as in most small towns, a gathering place for a lot of people, and we went inside and saw the people enjoying their donut and coffee and gossip, as it happens in some of the small towns. From there we went to the State Police Barracks, which is Troop C headquarters, so we're proud to have that in Punxsutawney. We shot the National Guard Armory. We have a National Guard unit here. We got a shot of the high school, which was built, I believe, in 1959. Then we came back downtown, and I believe got a few more shots of downtown, the Eagles Club, which is a nice building and recently added on. I was born in Flint, Michigan, but my mother was born in Punxsutawney, and when I was in about 8th grade, we moved back to Punxsutawney. And I have to say, even though it was slightly traumatic when I was in junior high age, I'm very glad that they brought me back here.
P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y.
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 P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y. I have to do it on the phone all the time.
P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y. Actually, it's capital P. Good day. My name is Bill Cooper. I'm president of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club by choice. My avocation is a banker. For most of the year, I'm known for my banking skills. As we approach February 2nd, I'm better known for my groundhog associations. Today, I took the opportunity to go out and film how Phil interacts with the community. Punxsutawney Phil is not Punxsutawney. Punxsutawney Phil is part of the cultural fabric that makes up Punxsutawney. Of all the serious things in life, Groundhog Day is not one of them. It's strictly for fun. It was designed that way, and it's been celebrated for that way for 114 years. I took the opportunity today to show you Gobbler's Knob. It's the home of Punxsutawney Phil for one day out of the year, that day being Groundhog Day, when thousands of his faithful followers assemble here on Gobbler's Knob to hear what Phil forecasts for the arrival of spring. If he sees his shadow, it's 6 more weeks of winter weather. If he fails to see his shadow, then we should anticipate an early spring. The truth is, if someone wants to argue the science, they've lost the point of Groundhog Day. If you went back to the late 1800s in western Pennsylvania, and people really anticipated the arrival of spring. And you didn't need much of an excuse to get out and socialize. There's an old legend that many of the settlers that arrived in Pennsylvania brought with them, and that's on Candlemas Day, if the sky be bright and clear, there'll be 2 winters in that year. Well, Candlemas Day and Groundhog Day both fall right there in the middle of the winter season, and the folklore in Europe said if the hedgehog saw his shadow, there'd be 6 more weeks of winter weather. Well, we don't have hedgehogs, but groundhogs were in plentiful supply and became the marmot of choice. The Knob has had several locations in the Punxsutawney area. It's been in approximately the same location for the last 60 years. It's in its precise location for the last 30. The Knob itself has been remodeled a couple of times to handle larger crowds and to handle the new types of media, satellite trucks and videotape and live presentations. I've lived in Punxsutawney 24 years. I came from Pittsburgh, was familiar with the area because I had relatives that lived not too far from here. It's a little bit of a culture shock, but it's something that it's a town driven by natural resources. Coal used to be the driving force. Oil and gas and lumber still are major parts of our economy. But the best natural resource we have are its people.
I'm Rick Young. I'm chairman of the Punxsutawney Municipal Airport. We have a small general aviation airport. It was founded in 1929. It's one of the oldest airports in this area. We celebrated our 70th anniversary last year at our fly-in, our annual awareness days. Originally, the airport was named Grube Airport. It was on a farm, and it was a grass strip up till about the 1950s when it became the Punxsutawney Municipal Airport. In the mid-60s, they put a 3,000-foot paved runway in, which really brought it into the modern age. The paved runway really made a big difference over the grass strip. You could get more larger planes and what in there. The airport is also a KOZ, which is a Keystone Opportunity Zone, which would allow a business to move in there tax-free for X amount of years. I believe it's 10 or 12 years we have left on ours. And that would be an excellent opportunity for an instructor to start us flying school up there. The airport is approximately 3 miles east of the downtown area in Punxsutawney. We have approximately 12 aircraft, and some are flying, some aren't, but approximately 12 right now, and they're all general aviation. There's no businesses flying in and out to speak of that are based there. We sometimes have some people that fly in for the Groundhog event, but obviously in February it depends on what the weather's like. If it's the weather's below minimums, we don't get too many. We don't have a precision instrument approach. We only have a general instrument approach, so you can't fly in if you have low ceilings. I was born and raised in Punxsutawney. I've obviously been here all my life. I live near the airport, and I got interested in aviation back in the early 90s and became a member of the authority about 5 years ago. So it's been an interesting experience.
Hello, I'm Tom Curry, and I work as a volunteer for the Punxsutawney Area Historical and Genealogical Society and have learned a lot about Punxsutawney's history. Barclay Square, as we call it now, was really the public park when it was laid out, when Punxsutawney was laid out as a community by Mr. Barclay, Mr. David Barclay, and his brother-in-law. The focal point in the Barclay Square, as we see it now, is the bandstand. We're called the bandstand, but really it's the memorial bandstand. It was built in 1932 from money that was raised during World War I, and money that was set aside, and then later on the bandstand was built from native stones, designed by local people and furnished by local industries, and it was the bandstand to be a memorial for all veterans of all wars. And in the park there are some other things that people can see. There is the Indian millstone, which is not a memorial, but it is a unique stone provided in 1936 by a ceremony of an Indian chief who came to town to designate a spot in Punxsutawney as an Indian village, a Delaware Indian village. There are some cannons there again. The cannons are there because they were made available by the U.S. government in 1897. A community group, the Veterans of the War, the GAR as they were called, were able to raise the money to have them shipped, and 2 of those were put into the park. And in a special ceremony, they were put in a park as a peace symbol. One was facing the east and one was facing the west. One of the special parts of the park is something that wasn't planned, but it eventually evolved in the park. One of the memorial trees that were planted originally in the early 20th century was a group of trees, and one of the trees became so large and became bad and was damaged over a number of years from storms, and so the tree either had to be removed completely or else in part. So it was removed in part, and the lower part was cut into a groundhog, so it is permanently rooted into the ground, and it now becomes a focal point for tourists who come and want to have their picture taken with this uniquely carved groundhog in the middle of the park. We took time to show the dike murals, and it's so close again to the Civic Center, which is the center of the town. As people use that particular area, they drive by the flood control dike, and on the walls of the east side of the flood control are murals done by art students. The students themselves were kind of instigators or initiators of the project. They were upset by the graffiti that had continued to build up on the walls, and so as a class project, they chose to paint over the graffiti with some special designs, and they initiated the designs in class. The student body selected the best of the students in the art classes' designs, and then community money was raised, and the art students and their friends spent the summer of 1990 and painted them on the walls, and they have been maintained by local funds. I'm a native of Punxsutawney. I grew up in the town, and like any young person growing up in the town, you never thought of Punxsutawney other than the place to live, go to school, and have activities in your backyard in the neighborhood. And then as I got older and got more involved in the community, becoming a part of the community by taking up a teaching position in the school, in the art department, I got older, and as you get older, you look back and you start appreciating history. And so over the years, I became active in the Historical Society. It was organized, and I've learned a lot more to appreciate Punxsutawney through its buildings and its the people who are here and the people who settled here and left us what we call our town, Punxsutawney.
Okay, I'm Mike Main, proprietor of Silverbrook Meadows. We have a petting zoo, and we offer llama hikes and things for Girl Scouts. A lot of things out in nature and out in the outdoors. Okay, and today what I wanted to do was go to different farms and show how the farms are actually making it in today's world, with prices of their commodities aren't going up, but the prices for farming, for the equipment and fuel and stuff going up. So a lot of farms are doing a lot of different things, and that's the aspect I wanted to show today. I started at Silverbrook Meadows, and that's a farm that my grandfather purchased in 1939, and my parents have been running it for the last 20 years. And my wife and I last August moved back to take over the farm. I spoke with my wife, Louise Main, and she's a science teacher at Punxsutawney High School, and she offers llama hikes. She does a lot of work with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, and what she'll do is customize a talk on nature or the animals with the Scouts, and they can actually earn a badge.
Well, we use our animals a lot for fibers, also for skins, for our petting area, so that people can come and enjoy our animals just like we do. For the llamas, we also use them for fiber, and they're also guard animals for our farm because they're actually more effective than dogs. They have a really great alert call, and they're much better at defending our sheep from predators than, say, a dog would, which has been proven by many different studies. We also use them as pack animals, and our llamas will take people through the woods and go look at nature, enjoy nature, maybe have a lunch. We do things with Girl Scouts, and they'll basically carry all of the equipment out for us and take the people on a nice leisurely hike for the day.
Okay, and then from there we went to Silverbrook Shop, and that's the shop that my parents started. They farmed for a long time, and when the income wasn't there with the sheep, because a lot of the subsidies for the wool and the imports made the price for wool and lamb go down, they had to do something else to maintain the farm and keep it. So they started spinning the wool and selling it as a finished product. Right around the corner is Timberstone, and that is a country resort. There's cabins, and a lot of these cabins are made from barns that they tore down in the area, and they incorporate the wood from the old barns and the stones from the land, and that's where they came up with Timberstone. And each cottage has bathroom facilities and fireplaces, and you can come and stay for a weekend or a week. And there's hunting and fishing. There's an 1.5-acre pond, and they have a big pavilions. They rent it out a lot for weddings and things like that. So it had a lot of heritage because a lot of the stones that they used for their walkways and the fireplaces came from some buildings from town too, like the old junior high that was just torn down and the old library. From there we went to Beam's Dairy Farm, and I talked with Scott Beam, and he showed us some of his animals that they milk, and we talked about the industry and how the milk prices have not gone up. They're still getting the same price for the milk they did 20 years ago, and some of the things that they're doing to try and maintain the farm. And he is going to maintain the farm just because it's been in the family so long, and he has to work on the side to keep up. I guess it's a bad habit, I don't know, but he's keeping it up and working on the side to keep the farm going.
They're not going to make any more ground, and we'd like to keep what we have.
Okay, and from there, just next door is Countryside Farms, and that's a pork farm. At Countryside Farm, I interviewed Ed, Anthony, and Karen Anthony. They're the proprietors of the business.
My dad and mom started the business back in the early 60s, raising hogs, and about 1980, we decided with the market the way it was going, we decided to put our own product out, and we started off with a little small meat shop here, and now we make about 60 different products. These ones here are about 4 days old. This pig here is about 6 days old. And, but there's no drugs at all. We keep everything drug-free.
From there I went to Autumn House Farm, and Autumn House Farm is owned by Harriet and Kenny Knox, and Kenny Knox is on the tractor. You can see him grinding some feed for the animals, and Harriet took me around the farm and spoke about what they're doing to keep the farm going. And their aspect is, again, linear. They've cut out the middleman. They start with the sheep, and they do their own shearing. They have their own carding machines. They take the whole process through the spinning, weaving, knitting to the finished product. And you can go there and pick out a sheep and say, yeah, I like that wool and I like this pattern, and they'll use that wool for your product. Okay, and they also bought the farm across the street that had a real nice house on it, and it's kind of like an inn, so if they have people come that want to learn how to knit or spin, they can stay in the cottage that they have. I was born in Colorado Springs. I moved to Texas with my family, and when my grandparents passed away, we moved from Houston, Texas to the farm. I was a junior in high school, and we started, got the farm off the ground. I went to college, went in the Navy. I've worked in nuclear power for 16 years, and I still contract in nuclear power plants because I have a bad habit of a farm that I have to keep going. And so I pump a lot of my money into the farm to keep it in the family and keep the heritage going.
Hi, I'm Joel Anderson. I'm employed at Punxsutawney campus of Indiana University.
And I'm Enid Maggiore. I'm the Director of Administrative Services at the IUP Academy of Culinary Arts.
Today what we're trying to show is a day in the life of students at the Punxsutawney campus and the culinary arts. We're trying to show that it's more than just the academics. We're showing the social side, we're showing the classroom experience, we're showing the student affairs side. Our first visit is that I introduced Dr. Valerie Mancuso.
We serve primarily as a freshman campus, however we have offered two-year degree programs through the years. We serve the residents of Punxsutawney as well as students from across the Commonwealth and surrounding states. Our campus consists of an academic building, residence hall, student union building, and athletic fields. And though we're small, we like to think that our size is our strength. We can provide programs and services to our students that larger campuses can't always offer.
We have students this year from 50 out of the 67 counties, from the surrounding states, and from Canada. So when the students come from Punxsutawney, you're getting a wide diversity.
We started the Academy segment off with a brief introduction by Chef Albert Woods, who's the director of the program.
We have 110 students, 8 faculty. We have 4 cooking labs, a bake shop, a dining room, and a computer lab. We have 100% placement. We place our students all over the world. The last group of students went to 20 different states, and one went to Italy, one went to St. Martin, 2 to Hawaii.
The culinary actually prepares the student for a basic culinary education, although we do have a very strong baking component. And the ice carving club is an extracurricular club that we have 2 faculty members that act as advisors and meet with the students one Saturday a month. I live in the Indiana area, and I've been with the Culinary Academy for about a year.
And I'm a resident of the community of Punxsutawney. My wife teaches at a local high school. She's teaches, and my daughter is a graduate of IUP. So we're IUP proud.
We seem to get many comments about the name of Punxsutawney, but we always have a very good time talking about the groundhog.
It doesn't matter where you travel, that people understand it's the home of the groundhog.
My name is Jack Lingenfelder, and we spent the biggest part of this afternoon shooting various signs depicting the groundhog in the Punxsutawney borough and Punxsutawney area. Enjoyed Punxsy.
Bernie Anarino. I drive bus for Christ Transportation and Punxsutawney Bus Company.
I'm Dana Anarino. I'm a daycare teacher at SSCD Daycare and a teacher aide for the Punxsutawney School District.
We went to my bus company I work for, Christ Transportation, and we filmed some of the buses that were sitting out on the lot, school buses and the charters. And we filmed Indiana Hill coming down in this scene of Punxsy. At the bottom of the hill, we filmed Joe's Drive-In. It's a landmark of Punxsy, ice cream place, been there for many, many years, and we got a picture of the groundhog sign and his sign. The Snyder Hill Schoolhouse is on Snyder Hill, just about a mile out of Punxsy. It's a one-room schoolhouse. I went to Benson Poultry and filmed the chicken statue carved out of wood out front in the building. Punxsutawney Bus Company is another charter company in town.
Yeah, they've been here longer than the other one, and they have groundhogs on the back of their windows with their capital of the world.
Ragley's appliance store in Punxsy formed the old A&P building, and they had a sign out front with a picture of a groundhog, so I filmed the groundhog.
While we were at Barclay Square, we visited Punxsutawney Memorial Library, and we videotaped some of the groundhog paraphernalia that they have on display and some of the souvenirs that they have for sale and the Groundhog Zoo. We went out to the McGee's Mills Bridge, which is about 13 miles from Punxsutawney, because it's kind of a local tourist attraction. And that covered bridge was built in 1873, and they take care of it and keep it up, and you can drive across it, and it's very picturesque out there. We filmed the St. Cosmas and Damian Roman Catholic Church, And this church has been a vital part of the community since the late 1800s. And today this church offers a parish health ministry, and they have the St. Vincent de Paul Society, which has a food bank to help the less fortunate. And this church has run a school since 1892, grades preschool through 8, and it also has a daycare and after-school daycare as well. And the auditorium is a site for blood mobiles for the Red Cross. It's also a site for a shelter for the Red Cross, a mass care site, and is used for many other things for the church. And they have a new gymnasium that was donated by a prominent donor. It's been really neat to watch the town grow over the years, and it's a good place to raise kids.
We've been in Punxsutawney all our lives, and I love Punxsutawney.
My name is Laura Mizuraco, and I live in the village of Adrian, which is a tiny coal mining village about 3 miles north of Punxsutawney. I also am a volunteer for the Punxsutawney Regional Development Corporation. I serve as the secretary for the corporation, and the Punxsutawney Regional Development Corporation owns and operates the Punxsutawney Industrial Park. Today I visited BFG Electroplating and Manufacturing Company, which is our first tenant in the industrial park and built a couple years ago, and I talked with the owner, Mr. Jeff Grube, who is the owner and president of BFG.
We built a building here in the Punxsutawney Industrial Park in 1998. Our company's been in Punxsutawney for 53 years and experienced some significant growth in the 90s. Due to that, we desired to build a new building, which is this building that we're in right now. When we started that process, we had a difficult time finding land that was available, that had all of the utilities, etc., that we needed, as well as enough acreage that we could build the size of facility that we wanted. So we were very fortunate at that time to have the Punxsutawney Regional Development Corporation working on this industrial park. We worked with them as well as Jefferson County Department of Development, Punxsutawney Borough Council, various state and federal agencies to not only build the park but provide all the infrastructure that was necessary to support our building as well as the other ones that are going in here now.
And then I visited Proform Powdered Metals and talked with the two partners, Jerry Dufall and Mike Armanini.
As you can tell, we're under construction of a new plant. It's a 35,000 square foot facility that will employ 50 people initially, and our plans are to expand in the next couple of years to 60,000 square feet and additional employment.
Proform takes great pride in bringing our specialized product line to this area. There's great room for expansion growth, and we're very excited to get into our new facility to focus on becoming a world-class supplier and a leader in our niche, in our industry.
The Punxsutawney Regional Development Corporation owns and markets the park and is a group of volunteers, and their dedication to the completion of the park basically leads to businesses locating in the park, whether or not it's a business from Punxsutawney growing and expanding, or a business that's interested in locating in Punxsutawney. So I think the Punxsutawney Industrial Park really demonstrates a cooperative commitment among a lot of different entities, and we're very proud of it.
Hi, I'm Linda Walkup.
And I'm Jerry Walkup, and we are working together on filming our town, Punxsutawney. We started out with some local farms around the town. The first farm has been in that family since 1798. Great-grandmother Sutter married a Walkup, and so it ended up then in the Walkup family.
The second farm we went to, Fred White owns it. And then the third farm was owned by the Cunninghams.
It has a lot of history too. It was originally owned by the North family, and they were early settlers in Jefferson County.
We stopped and got some emu and some pictures of deer that's owned by DeFelice's. DeFelice Pizza House was originally owned by Sarah, and when she died, her daughter Rose took over the business.
The founding fathers of our town left a good heritage in religion. The first church that we visited was the Saints Peter and Paul Visiting Catholic Church, which is an old church in the community. We visited the Church of God, and it was first established in 1913 in this town. We have a newer building now, but it has been here for 87 years. And we have pictures of the Episcopal Church, which is one of the oldest buildings in town. The Presbyterian Church is an older stone church. The English Lutheran Church is back on Pine Street, and it has been in the community a long time too, but I'm not sure of the year. The Methodist Church is one of the older churches in town with old architecture on the inside. I came to Punxsutawney in 1948 and graduated from the high school and married one of the local farmers.
Groundhog's Day, everyone goes to the Knob. It's a lot of fun, something to do.
Bill Dealey is a friend of the family and has gotten several of his Punxsy fields off our farm. So maybe Punxsy Phil has a little family relationship.
Hi, I'm Brad Gelati. I'm a pharmacist and local business owner here in Punxsutawney. The first place I filmed is known as the Green Hills Land Company. It's approximately 7,500 acres of wooded land. It's available for a yearly membership fee to anybody in the area. Many activities take place there. They promote it mostly as hunting, fishing, hiking, mountain biking. Also, you're allowed all-terrain vehicles, snowmobiles. There's also marked trails for walking, horseback riding, cross-country skiing. Another site I went to, actually in the same area as the Green Hills, there's about 14,000 acres of state game lands out there, which is, you know, another nice piece of property if you're a hunter, fisherman, and most of the other activities I had mentioned before. Also in the area is a 50-mile network of trails called the Groundhog. Well, they have a race every year called the Groundhog Fall 50. It's mostly used by runners, mountain bikers, and hikers, but it's also a nice feature if, you know, if you're into the outdoor sports. There are also 3 Pennsylvania Fish Commission maintained lakes in the area, which are nice for fishing, boating, camping, hiking, picnicking. For the hunters and shooters out there, it's a business known as Shooter's Paradise. It's a shooting club they have their own clubhouse, rifle, pistol range, sporting clays, archery range, and also a hunting preserve, a bird hunting preserve. Went to the University of Pittsburgh for 5 years. I was away for 5 years, and that made me appreciate the small town even more, living in the city for 5 years. Just anxious to get back and settle down here.
I'm Judith Rudesky. I decided to participate in a day in the life of Punxsutawney. I live here, I love it, and I started with the sunrise this morning over Marjotti Bridge. That's the way I go to work every day. For 10 years I did anyway, and we have some lovely sunrises sometimes. And I caught a nice one. It was mellow, but a nice one today. To follow that theme, I went over to the Army Reserve, the alley, and photographed the sun coming up there, and drove out past Cunningham Farm, lovely farm right outside of town. Then I just went up over town and took a photograph of the sunrise coming up over Punxsy. Then I went out to Clough Fabricating and interviewed Bill Lepley, who's one of the few blacksmiths left here in Punxsutawney, active, has a good business. And he showed me through his shop. He has more than one. He showed me through his shop, his other shop, his home.
This is my favorite anvil. I have quite a few anvils, but this is the one I use most of the time.
Another thing I wanted to show around Punxsutawney was the old post office and the new post office. It's a big thing to us and an issue. We hated losing the old post office. It's a historic building. There's only one other like it in the United States. So I photographed that and then went to the new post office, which is very modern, very nice, and I'm sure it's very efficient. And I interviewed Linda Uberti.
At the old post office, there wasn't much of a problem with long lines because we had all those steps to climb and no parking, so people would either go get their stamps at the grocery store or elsewhere. I love them both dearly. I miss my old post office, but I like my new one just as well.
Later in the day, I interviewed Sandy Manco at his home. Sandy is one of our avid sports fans here in Punxsutawney. He knows his facts and figures, and he played ball when he was younger. He showed me photographs from the paper and gave us some background on famous sports people around Punxsutawney.
This is John Sarge Bisrock. We always called him Sarge. That was his nickname. He was an outstanding catcher. Probably the best all-around athlete, player that played for Punxsutawney. He excelled in baseball, basketball, and football. He quarterbacked the last undefeated team in football.
I just stopped and took a photograph of one of our smaller churches, which is a little storefront Pentecostal church in downtown. And then I went up to St. Cosmas and Danium, which is a rather large cathedral-like church here in town. And then went off to the social clubs. And I started with the Elks and went over to the Italian Sons and Daughters, our American Legion, which is housed in our Army-Navy Club, and the Eagles, and then went out to the Moose and went inside, and we watched some of the folks playing pool and having fun for today in the Moose. I love the town and have been here for a decade now.
I'm John Swanger. I live in Oliveburg, that's about a mile and a half west of Punxsutawney. I visited the Walston Coke Ovens today. And in 8th grade history, I remember studying about the Walston Coke Ovens, the largest string of coke ovens in the world. For some reason, I just really never forgot that, never realizing that I'd one day drive past them every day to work. But they've always intrigued me. I always wanted to know more about them. I understand that when Carnegie Steel was originated back in the late 1800s, there was a Henry Frick from Connellsville decided to capitalize on that, and he knew that this area was rich in coal. So the Rochester and Pittsburgh Coal and Iron Company opened the Walston Mines in 1882. Then they opened mines in Adrian, nearby Punxsutawney, 1884. And at one time, the Walston Mines produced 3,000 tons of coal per day. There were 2 lines of coke ovens stretching about 1.25 miles down through the valley between what we know of as Walston today and Punxsutawney. Over 700 in all, and they were the largest string of coke ovens in the world. The coke ovens operated between 1880 and 1920. There would be a glowing of the skies because of these ovens. I understand that they would load the ovens from the top with a car. From the front entrance, they would level off this coal, set it on fire, and close up the front with brick, and it would burn for 3 days, which produced the coke, which would be shipped then to the Carnegie Steel Company for production of steel. I moved here in 1975. I used to manage shoe industry. That's what brought me to town. And I have a small clothing store, and I pastor a church. I like the family living, very clean community, a friendly community. Schools are great. Just nice small town country living.
My name is Chad McHenrick. And I'm Mike Orange. Rob Orange and I started yesterday filming the Girl Scouts and the Cub Scouts.
I was a Cub Scout about 5 years ago, and that's the pack I went to. I taped the opening and the cheer after it. The Wolves were building a toolbox to put miscellaneous tools in. There's a magic show on there. The adult amazes the kids on how the penny arrives out of thin air. The Girl Scouts, which is the next segment, I taped the opening, which was the flag salute and the pledge, and they have a Gushy Gushy song. Then there's a banana cheer to follow up the song, and they played the game of indoor baseball. Thank you.
We went over to Punxsutawney High School, and it was kind of like a day in the life of a Punxsutawney student going around to their classes. We first started, we interviewed the principal, Alan Towns.
Our curriculum is probably no different than most of the curriculums in the area and in the state of Pennsylvania, because much of that is mandated by the state. But over the years, we've been kind of proud of our music and our art departments, our athletic programs, and we're just striving to be the best that we can be here in Punxsutawney.
We went around a couple classes, shot some intramurals, that's morning basketball, between two teams that they compile themselves, and just went through the halls, talking to some people.
I shot computer graphics, a chemistry class and lab. We shot a picture of the hall. We put the camera on a wheelchair and we wheeled it down the hall as classes changed. We had some people saying some comments to the camera.
We went up to the middle school, talked to the principal up there, and some of the teachers and the children up there.
We talked to the middle school principal, Terry Vietz.
Ours is really a combination of elementary atmosphere with a little bit of the secondary atmosphere too.
We went over to Luigi's Pizza. It's a little pizza joint in East End.
We've had them since 1985. We thought we'd add the 50s theme. Hope everybody would enjoy it. We have great pizza.
They had a lot of old record players. It cost 10 cents to play. And a lot of old memorabilia that it's kind of neat to see.
They have a poster, an original Elvis poster from one of the concerts. Our schools are pretty good. We have nice facilities.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat hangouts that you can go to.
But it's a good hometown.
P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y.
P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y. No.
P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y.
P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y. P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y. P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y.
P-U-N-X-S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y. Yeah. P-U-N-X-S-Y. Punxsy.
for the production of Our Town Punxsutawney has been provided by the Punxsutawney Area Chamber of Commerce, dedicated to advancing the general welfare and prosperity of the greater Punxsutawney area. The Punxsutawney Area Chamber of Commerce, an advocate for a vital community. By the Punxsutawney Regional Development Corporation, marketing the Punxsutawney Industrial Park and dedicated to community and economic development in the Punxsutawney area. And by the annual financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.